start the recording again because I want to talk about Project 2. For the last 10 minutes, I'll be explaining what the Project 2 is about, and there'll be time to discuss it. Um, so, the Project 1 is due Sunday. We're going to be taking the, we're going to be taking the physical turn in on Wednesday. And on that physical turn, please make sure to write the names of your group members on the box or whatever you're giving us, because in earlier years some people just didn't, and it was really difficult to map the physical component to what the game is happening. You don't have to print the rules. Sometimes we ask that, but as long as the rules are up there, we're actually going to. Are there any questions about the Project One submission and all that information? Anything? Do you need any support to just like finish Project One? Yeah, a 1 gallon Ziploc bag is good for turning in your game. Okay, so let's just look in. Do we need to put our physical items in a bag if the items is a bag? We need to put our physical items in a bag if the item is a bag. No, no. Sorry, it took me a few moments to understand it. If the extra thing you're adding is a bag, you don't need to put the bag in a bag. Good, quirky question. I like it. Um, One person asked if if it's okay if the game is missing a bunch of cards. Uh, it is not okay. In that, if the base game is missing cards, we can supplement it. It would be better if the things you're turning in are not missing anything. Um, let's talk about it privately afterwards or later afterwards. But yeah, give us all the components that are necessary for us to play the game effectively. Um, okay, final project. So final project document is up. It is effectively being assigned well, now, or whenever the whenever Sunday rolls up and you're done with project additive systems project. Um, there, just for clarification, no, you did not need to. You do not need to create a physical component. If you wanted to, you could, but it's definitely not necessary, not required. Um, for the final project. So what are you going to be doing in the final project? What we want you to do is we want you to pick a game that exists out there, a digital game, and create an adaptation of it. There are some constraints about what games you can pick. You can only pick games that are released before 2010 or any mobile game. The reason why is because I refuse to grade anything related to Fortnite, and I think there might be problems if we keep it close. But also, we want you to expand the horizon of the games that you might pick, and we really don't want 6 different Overwatch games or whatever the newest game is right now. Regardless, there's some hard requirements. The game cannot require more than 4 players or be longer than 30 minutes to play. Um, no Doom 2016, no. But the initial Doom would be okay, maybe. Um, no more than 4 players and no more than 30 minutes. These are unfortunate logistical reasons. We as a grading team will have to come together. It's difficult to just get enough people at the same place if your game requires 6, 7, 8 people. We just don't have numbers. And no more than 30 minutes. Um, if the game takes 30 minutes for you to play, it is going to take an hour for us to play because we don't know the rules. We actually need to read and understand the rules, set things up. So just a 30-minute playtime actually results in usually an hour, close to an hour of playing games. And on top of that, there is the feedback part of it, etc., etc. So really, short, snappier games keeps the morale up. Yes, 1993 Doom is definitely okay. So shorter is much better. Um, we will ask you to get into teams, please. So you have options. We heavily encourage you to change teams up. I know working in teams is difficult. Working with 4 and 5 people teams, sure, that's an overhead. I did an internship at Ubisoft. Uh, the game team that I interacted with had hundreds of people, hundreds. When I needed to meet someone, there was a whole map that I need to like look up and then go find them. And the overhead in communication was so big that at some point I just needed a map to do my job. Um, and I talked to my supervisor. My supervisor talked to the other team supervisor. That other team supervisor talked to the engineering group, and within that engineering group, someone had to find the map person. There were four people in the chain for me to get what I need to do my job. When you're complaining about a four-person team, there's things to complain about, but things are not going to get better. Things are going to get worse. So working in a team and being able to manage teams, being able to communicate within teams, being able to actually have a good project management skills and like set up meeting times is incredibly important. Um, at as much, at least important, it's almost as important as just your game design skills, if not more. So this is why we're encouraging you to be in 5 to 6 people teams and also have experience with working with other people. So the point is, encouragement is change your teams, work with other people, understand how different people work, but you don't have to. If you like your current team and you have a good stride, then you can stay. Um, your deliverables will be similar. There will be a PDF write-up that is going to be including your final rules, playtest, and there will be a little bit more details. But one thing that is important and there will be a little bit different is the check-ins. So there are two reasons why we're giving check-ins. One, to smoothen out the grading. So your grade doesn't necessarily just depend on the final game you make, but there are like different steps in the interim. So you have a little bit less variance. And also the other one is just give you a solid timeline. So the first check-in is important. This one is due soon. This one is due the 21st of February, this Friday, this upcoming next week today. The reason why this is due on Friday is because you're going to get feedback by Monday morning. What we want you to do, and there will be an assignment document that specifies the actual specifics that you're going to submit. We want you to submit 5 different adaptation ideas and the proposed system adaptation. So, what is the game that you are proposing to adapt? And just a few sentences describing how you're going to do this, and 5 more times. And then I'm going to look over all these things, all these submissions, and give you feedback on Monday. So we want to have a more iterative style and we want to check in with you. The second check-in is going to be a playtest report. So we want you to talk about the internal playtest you have and write a public playtest protocol using the information we discussed today. Um, there will be a time where we will be publicly playtesting with students from ATK and the other classes. So you will have the opportunity and the difficulty of playtesting with people from outside the class. And finally, week at the end of week 9, 8th of March, the final project will be due. And I think we are going to have some extra credit bits, I think. And one idea would be to have a taxonomy of failure analysis. I'm curious, do you think that's an interesting extra credit for you all? Would you like to do a taxonomy failure analysis? And with that, I'm opening up the floor for questions. Do you have any questions about the final project or anything to say about the proposed extra credit? And if you do not, the class lecture time is over. I'm going to hang out a few more minutes here. So feel free to ask me questions about project 2, but consider project 2 officially assigned.
Batu, will we open up the taxonomy of failure extra credit project to include project 1 or just the final project?
What do you think?
I mean, I'm hoping some teams had some failures that are worth analyzing in project 1. It might also, there may be folks who want to get a jump on extra credit sooner.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. Let's talk about that. My
Yeah,
only concern would be that because there's only 3 base games, we might just get like the same answer or very similar answers from people.
yeah, correct. So I think it depends on kind of the scope. And we want that to be a fairly juicy assignment to be an extra credit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that
So
makes
I would
sense.
lean towards attaching it to project 2.
Yep.
One thing I said out loud is, no, my post didn't post it, but actually made the change. Based on our discussion and the feedback we got from the students, you all, I made the discussion assignment extra credit. So you can get started on that. And if you have any questions around how the discussion assignment is working, effectively, we want you to discuss certain things. So if you believe you contributed to discussion, do a submission and send me an email, and that will be counting as extra credit.
Nathan asked about how much of the game to adapt. You can, if it's a larger game, you can pick a subsystem, a single part of the game to do. But that's something that's why we want you to, in your proposal, that of the 5 things you're thinking about doing, like that's a great thing to get feedback on early. But at any point, if you're like, oh, I think just this one section of this game is enough to do, like talk to us. We'll happily give you feedback on that. We want to make sure that you're doing the right amount of work and not over scoping or under scoping. I need to run off to prep for my other class. Thanks for coming, 14 people who are still here. Batu, thank you so much. We will continue these conversations onward.
Yep, I think I'm gonna head off as well.
Okay.
I get to walk. See you all. Bye bye.
Thanks.